And that was the Zelos 3 kit by Aspire that comes with the new Nautilus 3 tank. Now, if you don't know what a Nautilus tank is, then what have you been vaping on? Because the Nautilus tank, especially the original one, is legendary. And the BVC coils, again, still manufactured today. They've been getting manufactured for years and years and years and still going strong. Still very much loved by many vapors. The new Zelos 3 is a 3200 mAh device. Very nice ASP chipset in here with a decent display, and at the base you see there you've got a clever little on-off switch. And the Nautilus 3 tank itself has a couple of nice sneaky features as well. Let's check it out. We'll have a very quick walk around the device. I'll tell you all the bits and bobs you need to know about the new Zelos 3. First of all, looks-wise, aesthetically, it reminds me of like, is it the Dicodes Box 21700? It's that kind of shape, that kind of style. It looks like it has a 21700 in this, if I'm honest with you, or pretty much similar. Of course, it has an internal battery. It's non-replaceable, 3200 mAh, charged via the USB Type-C port at the front, at the bottom, and it does have a 2 amp charge as well. Speaking of that, which at the base you have an on-off switch. Now, for years, forever, I've always 5-clicked on, 5-clicked off the device, and then when you get something like this, you just forget it has its own switch. I couldn't turn this on to start with because I was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But no, you just flick that at the bottom and it will kill it, shut down. And then obviously when you switch it back on, once that's gone, switch, it will power up again. Really nice feature there by Aspire. I really like that. Just handy, just saves the work on my thumbs. At the top, you can fit up to 28mm before you're going to get any overhang, which I think is really good. The actual look of this device and definitely the feel in the hand is very nice. It's not really heavy. It's got a nice weight to it. It's a zinc alloy finish as well. So it's not heavy, but it's not light. It's about right. Certainly nice and comfortable in the hand. The display, basically the ASP chip's been used in quite a few of Aspire's latest products. I really like this chipset. Very simple, very easy to use. Not a great deal to tell you about it, really. There is obviously all the usual kind of modes. However, there's no smart mode, which I think is maybe one thing that they can improve on. Bring out a smart mode so then when you pop one of their coils in, whether it be the Nautilus 2S or the original BVC, the 1.8 ohm, it will automatically set that wattage to their recommended. It will just kind of save me burning out coils, which has happened on this device. Yeah, apart from that, I can't really complain about the device. I have no real faults with it. It charges pretty well. Takes about an hour and 20 minutes to charge. I haven't charged it completely from dead to completely full, but I found usually when I've popped it on charge, when the battery's starting to go right down, an hour and 20 minutes and it's back up to full. So that's decent for a battery capacity of this size. Overall, I think it looks pretty classy, if I'm honest. Definitely quite a nice classy device. Feels solid, feels very well made, and that smart on-off switch at the bottom just kind of finishes it off nicely. So a quick look at the Nautilus 3 tank, and I am going to breeze through things very quickly. First of all, at the top you see that I've got the mouth to lung 510 drip tip on top, just kind of more my preferred style. I quite like this. However, if you are going to use this for more a restrictive direct lung, you obviously might want to change that for a slightly more open bore. You can see that big red triangle, which is a bit garish if I'm honest, but it's obviously a slide filler, and that's your little indicator there to fill up. Feels no problem at all. I like that there's an indicator to show you where to fill up. I just don't like that it's a big red triangle, if I'm honest. This, of course, is a 2mm capacity, and I expect there to be a bubble glass for it, probably 4 or 5mm, but I haven't done my research, so you'll have to check that out. At the base here, you've got your airflow adjustment, and it does adjust really nice. There's a real nice knurling to it, and it does adjust from 0.8mm all the way up to 3mm airflow holes, so there's quite a lot of playing around you can do to really tailor that vape. One of the clever features of the new Nautilus 3 tank is definitely the kind of juice shut off system, so you might just be able to see in there. Basically, once you unscrew this base and you pull your coil out, it will shut that juice flow off, so you're going to basically stop juice from pouring out when you're replacing coils. However, there is one minor issue I've come across. Sometimes when you unscrew this base, the actual coil stays as part of it. Now, it's not a massive issue, but ideally you want to be able to pull that coil out pretty quickly, and you don't want it to be gradually coming out, because then the juice flow is gradually going to be closing. So you might get a little bit of leakage that way. I'm going to give it a try now. Let's see. Now, I have tried to tighten up the coil so it stays in the top, but I doubt it's going to. I bet it's going to come with the, yeah, I can see it already. You probably can't see, but the coil inside there is spinning, which means I could see bubbles of air, and then the coil will come out eventually with the base. There you go. Ooh, you see, and that's kind of what happens. It's not massive leakage, but it's definitely possible. So you're just going to have to see what happens with that one. I just think really the coil needs to stay inside the top of the tank so you can remove the base and then you can just pull the coil out quickly and then the shut off will work. Apart from that, I've got no real faults with the Nautilus 3 tank. I think everything fits and feels really well. It looks pretty smart, just that little red triangle. And yeah, a little tweak to that juice shut off and it'll be spot on. Quickly going back to the Zelos 3, if you pick this up, you might not be a big fan of the Nautilus 3, you might just want the mod. In which case, you might want to fit maybe a bigger tank on it, maybe a different tank. This is a 24mm tank, as you can see there is room for a slightly bigger tank. So let's see what it looks like with a couple of other RTAs and drippers on top. That's what it looks like with the 28mm bulk RTA, and as you can see, there's no overhang, but you are pretty much at your limit. That's what it looks like with the 24mm Force RDA by Vaporesso. Now, actually, I think it's a bit small, but it looks okay. That's what it looks like with the Blotto RTA, which is, I think, a 26mm, I think. But there isn't a slight issue I've noticed. There's some of the 510s, they don't quite thread all the way down. You might just see a little gap there at the base. That's what it looks like with the Watofo Next M Pro tank, 26mm. And that's what it looks like with the Steam Crave Titan. So I've got the 1.8 ohm Aspire BVC coil installed, recommended between 10 and 14 watts. However, I put the airflow all the way to the widest in the 3mm hole. Got it at 14.5 watts. Let's give it a little bash. Slightly restrictive, got a nice restriction there. Obviously, this coil isn't really meant for kind of direct lung vape, and it's a restrictive direct lung vape I'm getting there. However, I just wanted to try it out because I'd never done that before, and actually it performs pretty well. For a round wire coil, the BVC coil is well known and well trusted, and it actually works quite well as a restrictive direct lung vape. But I'm going to dial that right down to my preferred, which is kind of like the second air hole. The first one, the 0.8mm, for me is just a little bit too tight, especially in this tank. But the next hole up, I'm going to drop it down to 13 watts, give that a little bash. Nice and smooth, a very slight crackle going on in that coil as well, and good flavour. It's tried and tested for a reason. It's a loved coil and it performs still as great as it used to back in the day. Really, really nice, slightly warm, good flavour, and yeah, overall a great coil. Now obviously having that wattage at 13 watts means this device is going to last you a long time. I haven't had to charge it for 3 days when I've got it at that wattage with this coil, so you really can't go wrong with the Aspire BVC coils. So I've quickly installed the Nautilus 2S mesh coil, 0.7 ohm, recommended between 20 and 25 watts. I got it at 22 watts with the airflow on the largest setting, the 3mm hole. Let's give it a little bash. Good flavour, very, very good flavour. A restrictive vape, slightly warm at that wattage as well. I quite rate this coil. It's really, really good. However, this one's on the way out, so I'm not going to vape on it too much more because I have literally been thrashing this coil, starting to get bits of burntness from it. So I'll very quickly drop that airflow down. I'm going to go to the third smallest hole, which I imagine is about 1.2mm. I'm not quite sure. Drop it down to 20 watts and give it a little mouth to lung vape. Good flavour. Not the greatest, not the best flavour, but definitely good flavour. Definitely satisfying. A really nice vape actually as a mouth to lunger. Of course, you've got a bit more power there. You could even dial that wattage down a little bit more if you wanted a slightly cooler vape. You could also still knock that airflow down if you wanted to use the 0.7 ohm as a mouth to lung. But really, it kind of is a restrictive direct lung vape kind of coil. But it is still quite diverse. It can do both quite well. Definitely, I just find you might have to lower that wattage a little bit more than the recommended, just if you want a more chilled out mouth to lung experience. Overall, both coils perform beautifully, and this coil in particular, like I said, I have been thrashing it, and it's only just starting to tail off, and it's had, I don't know how many puffs, but it's had a lot of puffs, and it's performed really, really well. So my final thoughts of the Zelos 3 kit with the Nautilus 3 tank by Aspire. Well, we'll start with a couple of small minor things that I just want to point out that I might not have mentioned, or I might have mentioned, I can't remember. First of all, the device itself, I wish it was 100 watts. I wish it had 100 watts maximum output. 80 watts is fine. The fact that this is a single battery device is not really going to be used too much for kind of high power devices, for atomizers that need 100 plus watts. But I just think having the option there would have been nice. But it's not. You're limited to 80 watts, which I think is a bit of a flaw. I really, really like the on-off switch at the base. I also like this is a USB Type-C with a 2-amp charge. I think that's absolutely cracking. I'm a big fan of the actual style and the look of this device. It fits nicely in the hand. It's not too weighty, but it definitely feels very, very high quality. It's a Spire product in the day, so you expect it to be high quality. I'm also a big fan of the display, the very simple menu functions. It's a shame there's not a smart mode for it. I think that would have been helpful, especially the fact that this is a Nautilus tank. And a lot of people who are getting into vaping might go down the Nautilus road because of recommendations, and it's possible to burn out that coil just by having this at the wrong wattage. So a smart mode would be good, Aspire. Maybe think about that. When it comes to the Nautilus 3 tank, I really can't fault it for how it performs. The Aspire coils are well known and trusted, especially the 1.8 ohm coil. Cracking coil, really, really nice coil. Yeah, only minor things, just aesthetically. First of all, that silly red triangle, that just could be black, and then I'd be happy. And the juice shut-off valve system is really good, really, really good. We've seen it from other companies. It's nice to see Aspire using it. Just find that the coil gets stuck in the base and not stays in the tank, and then when you come to remove it, it's already half out, and so you do get the odd weep of e-liquid. So I hope that's helpful, folks. If it was, hit the like button or subscribe if you fancy it. Of course, you can see my latest review there. A random one there. A big thanks to UK Aspire vendor for sending this over full review. And I have a cheeky little discount code, FC15, to give you 15% off anything you get on their websites. Go check it out. I'm Flacco Vapor. Thanks for watching.